Welcome to the guide, Exile, and welcome to Path of Exile 3.0. With 3.0 comes a whole swath of changes to the game. 6 new acts, new temporary league, new skills, new support gems, new uniques, and of course, many apparent and hidden balance changes. This of course makes starting fresh a massive undertaking if you are not in on all the new goodies. Fear not, because I have developed 2 solid options for starter builds that can take you all the way through to new content, as well as into red tier maps. These are a very simple to gear and level max block Scorching Ray Necromancer, and a cheap and fast stunning Sunder Berseker. Both of these builds have a few ways to go about gearing and speccing them, making for a lot of flexibility and customization. For this guide I will be talking about the stunning Sunder Berseker. At the end of the build guide I will discuss variations and options for the build. Remember that these are starter builds and they are not optimized for Guardians or Shaper. The character demoed in this video is on the 3.0 beta and is only around level 80 with average gear. The stunning Sunder Berseker is a great league starter, requiring only a few cheap uniques while dealing very impressive damage. It also has a very flexible leveling process with access to many resistance nodes, life nodes, weapon nodes, and jewel sockets. We also get access to our endgame skill early on, of which is very powerful for leveling, thus allowing us to feel the progression of our build all the way through our leveling process. Offensively, we make use of a fast attacking Sunder using dual-wielded weapons that only deals physical damage by means of the Brutality support gem. This means we will have a hard-hitting pure physical hit that will scale better for stuns than a generic combined physical and elemental Hatred Herald of Ash build, where much of the elemental damage is mitigated by enemy resistances. Since we are dual wielding, we also gain 10% more attack speed and 20% more physical attack damage as a massive hidden bonus. We use a mace in our main hand to assist in our approach to stun all of our enemies, with a blade in our offhand to quickly zip around the map with whirling blades. We also enable Blood Rage, giving us more physical damage leech, as well as Frenzy Charge generation for increased attack speed and movement speed, as well as more damage. And we will also be reserving our mana with a Blasphemy vulnerability, so enemies take more physical damage, as well as a Herald of Ash. Now, you may be wondering, why do we use Herald of Ash when we can't deal any elemental damage? Well, this is true, however we can still proc the overkill damage as a burn to nearby enemies that Herald of Ash provides. This allows us to have a larger area of effect to finish off enemies that didn't die from the primary or secondary Sunder hits. Defensively, we stack endurance charges for a total of 6 charges for 24% reduced physical damage taken. This is also paired with an Arctic armor for 12% less fire and physical damage taken while we are stationary and attacking. Along with life leech that we gain from Pain Reaver, we also stack life regeneration and instant life recovery from Warbringer in times of need. Finally, as a main aspect of this build, we reduce enemy stun threshold to stun almost every enemy we come across, reducing the chance for them to even ever hit us. The playstyle of this character is very straightforward. We begin by enabling Blood Rage and use Whirling Blades to approach enemy packs, gaining a Fortify if we hit one. We then cast an Enduring Cry to start stacking endurance charges, and then let loose and sunder the packs down, stunning them with every blow. For bosses, we simply drop our Ancestral Totem and maintain our endurance charges. Until you scale your damage high enough, you may have to use a stun support gem to ensure that bosses are stunned as well. The passive trees and Path of Building Pastebin are included in the description. Some pros in the build include a quick and engaging playstyle, safety from stunning monsters, high life regen and life leech. We do not have to worry about no regen vol packed. High physical mitigation from Arctic armor and endurance charges. Instant life recovery from Warbringer for more safety. Some cons include, we cannot run physical reflect. We lose stun on cannot be stunned maps. We won't always be able to stun every boss. This is largely due to the fact that boss health was increased from patch 2.6 to 3.0. For our class in Ascendancy, we are choosing the Marauder and Berserker. The main reason for this choice is the 40% more damage multiplier from Aspect of Carnage, making your 4 or 5 link Sunder much stronger, progression smoother, and ability to stun more consistent. We also massively benefit from the life and mana leech combo from Pain Reaver, and the instant life recovery from Warbringer. The general attack and movement speed from the minor nodes and Crave the Slaughter are nice to have bonuses as well, improving our clear speed. For Ascendancy progression, I would follow this order. Within our passive tree, the main keystones that we grab are Resolute Technique, so that we can never miss any hits. Unwavering Stance, so we can never be stunned. Here's the complete endgame passive tree. Defensively, we get life and regeneration nodes, minor armor nodes, endurance charges, and stun threshold reductions. Note, in total, from the tree, gear, and gems, we want to aim for a reduced enemy stun threshold greater than 90% for mapping scenarios. This will allow us to have reliable stuns for all enemy types, aside from mid to high tier map bosses, until we outlevel them. Offensively, we pick up one-handed and dual-wielding nodes, attack speed, and jewel sockets. I would follow this tree progression into the final tree. For bandits, we will be helping Oak for the life regeneration, physical mitigation, and physical damage. Some useful pantheons for the build include, any of the majors are fine to use. And for minors, Soul of Yugal is nice so we do less physical reflect damage. Here are the following gem links for the build. Support gem links are shown in order of importance. Required uniques for this build include the Colinius Malleus, an affordable one-handed mace that provides great base damage as well as a lot of reduced stun threshold to make our stuns more consistent. Other useful but not required uniques include Belly of the Beast. This is always great for life-based builds and it provides a lot of extra life and decent resistances. Gruthkul's Pelt provides a nice boost for your physical damage and life regeneration, but we lose the ability to use spells like a cast when damage taken setup. Veroso's Battering Rams, a cheap set of gloves that meld nicely with our endurance charges that we are stacking for increased damage. Ichimonji provides a nice boost to your buffs, as well as a high attack speed weapon for a fast whirling blades. A Bright Beak for large amounts of attack speed if you wish to use Leap Slam rather than a whirling blades for a movement skill. It also provides a decent amount of resistances. For rare gear, we will want to look for armor-based pieces, making coloring our links easier. It also provides us with an armor base, and gives us access to the new Hybrid plus Armor and plus Maximum Life prefix. Here are the affixes that we want to look out for on gear along with some example gear. For using some skill gems, we will be required to gather a bit more intelligence and dexterity. We can spec a few passive points into the plus 30 nodes in the tree until we get it on gear or jewels. There are only a few requirements of your rare gear. Your secondary weapon should be a blade so that you can use whirling blades with a high percentage increased attack speed. Your belt should have percentage reduced enemy stun threshold on it. For recovery flasks, we want to ensure that we have the following. A Divine Life Flask. You will want this to be an instant, either bubbling or seething life flask. For utility flasks, you will want to make use of the following. A Sulfur Flask for the increased damage and consecrated ground that provides 4% life regeneration while you stand in it. A Basalt Flask for the flat physical mitigation. And a Silver Flask for the increased attack, cast, and movement speed to help out your Sunder and Whirling Blades. Here's a unique flask that'll help out a lot in this build. The Lion's Roar. This will grant more melee damage, and since we're using the Kalinilus, we do not have to worry about knockback. This will also greatly help in our stuns. For leveling, you can either level with one-handed or two-handed weapons. Leveling with a two-handed weapon makes getting decent damage on a weapon much easier. You will have plenty of respec points to switch to one-handed nodes in the tree once you get an appropriate one-hander for the unique mace. I have provided a leveling tree in the description for going two-handed before you swap to one-handed, if you do choose this method. For skill gems, I recommend going with the following progression. At level 1, you will want to get a Ground Slam and a Molten Strike linked with Ruthless. The Molten Strike will help out with single target. At level 4, you will want to get an Ancestral Protector to also help out with single target. At level 10, you will get your movement skill Leap Slam. At level 12, you will finally get Sunder, which you will want to link with Added Fire and Ruthless. At level 18, you will want to link Sunder with melee physical damage and Ruthless, as well as begin to use a Herald of Ash. From here, you will add in the remaining gem links to your Sunder, using faster attacks in place of Multi-Strike. You will not want to use Multi-Strike until you are around mapping level, and have a high attack speed. Swap your Ancestral Protector for an Ancestral Warchief at level 28. While leveling, you can make use of the Diamond Skin node at the Marauder start, and Jewel Sockets to make up for elemental resistances you may be lacking on gear. Once you get above level 60, you can buy a 5-link armor chest piece for next to nothing. Ensure that its eye level is above 60, and use an Essence of Greed, or simply Alch and Scour it and hope for a decent life roll. Elemental resistances are nice to have, but aren't severely required. Here are some possible build variations. I will not discuss the versions in complete, but will provide a summary and paste bin for the path of building code. A Blood Magic Stun Gladiator. This version makes use of the Gladiator Ascendancy to get defense through attack and spell block, and clear speed through the Gladiator's bleeding enemies explode for 10% of their life. We go for Blood Magic so we do not have to worry about getting Mana Leech, as well as allowing us to restructure our tree to free up some life nodes to get damage nodes. We will of course not have as much top-end damage as the Berserker version, but we will be a fair bit tankier in generic map situations, where we make use of block for Riposte and Reckoning to generate endurance charges and proc the bleed explosions. For example play of the Stun Sunder Gladiator, check out Pox's video on his take of the class and Ascendancy. All in all, this build is a great league starter that can be easily leveled and brought into endgame maps. You get fast clear speed, strong damage, and safety from stuns, endurance charges, life regen, and life leech, all on top of only requiring a few cheap unique items. If you are unsure of what to play for 3.0, well, now you have a good idea of what to choose. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, Exile.